Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to this Saturday edition of the Cricket Happening Show with your host Ram. Well, on this Saturday edition of Cricket Happenings, I'm going to look at the second One Day International, which was played between New Zealand and Australia, and what a match it was. In fact, New Zealand were within real distance of actually winning that match yesterday, but it was a wonderful effort from Mitchell Marsh and Hastings that saved the day for Australia. Not only did it save the day, but it went on to level the series. In fact, New Zealand had put up 281 runs on the board, and Australians were chasing 282 to win. And they were really doing very well with a wonderful opening partnership, laying the foundation of 122 between Usman Khawaja and David Warner. And then we saw a clatter of wickets when Australia lost 6 wickets for 75 runs. And then the rearguard action came in the form of Mitchell Marsh and John Hastings to actually really do a wonderful job to actually score 86 runs in a tense match and take them to victory in the 47th over, and thus Australia leveling the Chappell-Hadlee Trophy series. It's a 3-match series, as you know, level at 1-1, and that also meant that the final one-day international, which would be coming up, would be a real beauty, as both the teams would be trying to contest for the Chappell-Hadlee Trophy there. So it's wonderfully set up. But what a match we had, a wonderful match which I'll be talking about. Now, the next match that I'm going to talk about is the second one-day international. Sorry, dear fans, my throat is a bit sore, but cricket is very dear to me. It doesn't matter what my health is. I am there always with you, dear friends and subscribers. So, South Africa and England played in the second one-day international today. And even though South Africa reached 262 for 7, England closed the match by having a victory by 5 wickets to actually take a very good lead in this 5-match one-day international series, as it stands at 2-0 with England winning both the matches now. So I'm going to talk about both these matches, and also on this briefly would like to touch and say that India have become the second team to enter the semi-finals of the Under-19 World Cup in Bangladesh, as India yesterday went on to beat the Namibian team to enter the semi-finals. So let's start off with the game between Australia and New Zealand. It all started with the New Zealand captain getting the luck of the dice here, as Brendan McCullum won the toss here at the Westpac Stadium in Wellington. As you know, it is known as the Cake Tin, and New Zealand were the ones who actually batted first. Well, the innings, it was a quiet start. The first over went harmlessly by from Josh Hazlewood with only 2 runs coming. But in the second over, Brendan McCullum got hold of Hastings and started punching him for sixes. Brendan McCullum totally opened up in the second over as he started crash landing sixes of the bowling of Hazlewood and Hastings. In fact, he also hit sixes of all the bowlers. He went after Hazlewood, deposited him for a 6. He hit Hastings for a 6. He swung Boland for a 6. And the partnership went on to 35 with Martin Guptill at the crease too. But then finally, Boland, who was hit for a 6, did a wonderful job. In fact, you saw Brendan McCullum come in and he actually corrected his length there, and Brendan McCullum was a goner. Clean bowl by Boland for 28 of 12 balls with 2 4s and 3 6s. And then it was Kane Williamson and Guptill at the crease. Well, Guptill continued to slowly build up an innings there, as he understood the importance of his being at the crease in the absence of Brendan McCullum. Kane Williamson at the other end was also pretty sedate. and both were slowly nurturing the innings along. But Martin Guptill at times was actually playing some forceful strokes as the score slowly started moving, and it was a phase of play where Hastings was bowling superbly and also bowling to a certain extent, and then we saw that the spinners was introduced. Adam Zampa today was making his one-day international debut, as James Faulkner has been ruled out of this New Zealand tour. He has gone back to Australia with an injury, and now there will be no James Faulkner, which is a big definitely a big minus point for Australia, I reckon. But well, Adam Zampa got his baggy green cap from the former Australian great batsman and commentator Alan Border, and well, Adam Zampa did a beautiful job. In fact, Adam Zampa came in, and Mitchell Marsh was also bowling well, and both of them, I would say, Adam Zampa, one saw that it was a very good bowling for Adam Zampa. He was mixing it up. He's bowling some googlies, and he was really doing a very good job there, as Mitchell Marsh also was bowling pretty well. And that was a phase of play where I would say Australia really got on, and then we saw that Mitchell Marsh was the one who picked up the wicket. Mitchell Marsh using the I would say really was a better bowler today. He was using the cross seam very well as he was pitching the ball, which was good to see, and he was also using the bouncer to good effect. And finally, Martin Guptill fell a victim, caught by Usman Khwaja in the deep of the bowling of Marsh for 31 of 45 balls with 4 fours. Henry Nicholls, who definitely would have been very happy, as I said, he has been selected in the test squad too now, well, but definitely disappointed as he flayed at a wide delivery from Mitchell Marsh, and Matthew Wade behind the sticks did the rest. He was gone for 4 or 5 balls, which made it 95 for 3. Williamson was there in the centre, joined in by Grant Elliott, and then definitely the situation demanded that Williamson and Elliott really knuckle in, really put their heads down and really play it out a bit, and then finally open out. Well, that was happening, and there was a phase of play when Australia had a real stranglehold on the Kiwis there, as Williamson and Elliott had to really settle for some sedate stroke play there. As this was going on, we saw Grant Elliott charging and hitting a 6-2, but when the partnership reached, the partnership put on 63 runs for the 4th wicket, there was a wicket for the Australians, and this was done by, in fact, this was Adam Zampa's maiden international wicket, as he actually forced Kane Williamson to actually try to hit a forcing shot through the offside, and was well caught by Stephen Smith for 60 of so Williamson departing for 60 of 74 balls with 5 fours and 1 6, and then we saw the entry of Cody Anderson in the middle, joining Grant Elliott, but Grant Elliott perished in the next over itself from Adam Zampa, as once again Adam Zampa forcing Grant Elliott to attempt a forcing stroke almost in identical circumstances, like how Kane Williamson got out as he tried to actually cream a delivery through the offside, and it was beautifully taken by Stephen Smith. It was hit with some very good force, but Stephen Smith was pretty sharp there in the cover region, picking up a good catch, and that made it 164 for 5. Cody Anderson, well, he couldn't really get on, as the situation was really something where Anderson couldn't really open out much. Luke Ronchi was in the middle, who hit a 1-6, but then there was not much of a resistance from the New Zealanders, as Ronchi was out to the bowling of Boland for 19 of as many balls with 1-4. Anderson perished, caught by Matthew Wade behind the sticks, as Hazelwood came in his second spell and picked up some important wickets. I picked up Anderson for 16 of 28 balls with 1-6, and then once Anderson and Ronchi were dismissed pretty quickly, the score at 205 for 7, and even though Mitchell Santner was there at the crease, who was looking pretty confident, and Mitchell Santner, as I already said, he's one of those promising all-rounders who is is emerging on this New Zealand cricket circuit, no doubt about it, and he definitely showed us why as he came in that time, and along with the talent for company, he nurtured this New Zealand innings along, first playing in a very, very matured fashion, and when the time came, he really started opening out. But he got some good company from Adam Min, and once Adam Min came, there was a real transformation in the game, because from a score where Australia had New Zealand, Australia were in total control of the game by having the Aussies, by having the Kiwis at 205 for 7, things totally transformed, as in a space when Adam Min's entry really spurred on this New Zealand scoring, as it was 61 runs were added in just 6 overs, with Adam Min really swinging, and he was hitting some very good strokes. We saw some very good field placings by Stephen Smith, even though Matt Henry and Mitchell Santner were really trying to hit some strokes down the ground. I thought David Warner was the one to whom the ball was always going, and I thought David Warner was really sprinting in, putting up a beautiful effort, and his fielding was absolutely top notch there. And then while this was going on, this was a very, very entertaining partnership for the Westpac Stadium public, as 61 runs were rattled in that 6 overs which were bowled, and Adam Min was the man who was to do it, and then he finally departed. Scott Smith bowled Hazelwood for a well-made 36 of 27 balls with 2 fours and 1 6. Matt Henry lost his stumps to Hazelwood for a blob, but Mitchell Santner was still there in the end to take this New Zealand innings along to a respectable 281 for 9, with Mitchell Santner unbeaten on 45 of 39 deliveries, 3 fours and 1 6. Trent Boult was not out on 2, and New Zealand finished at 281 for 9. The bowling figures for the Aussies, it was a good pitch to bat on, and there was definitely a lot of runs in the offing. Hazelwood, 10 overs, no mid and 361, bowled a good second spell after receiving a battering from Brendan McCullum. Hastings continued to impress. He has been doing a very good job, I reckon. 10 overs, 1 mid and none for 42. Ball in 10 overs, 261. Adam Zampa was impressive, even though as right-arm leg spinner, you're expected to, and a right-arm leg spinner especially, is expected to give runs as a leg spinner, and we saw that in his first match. Even though he gave 57 runs, he picked up 2 important wickets. Mitchell Marsh, 6 overs, no made and 2 for 30, and I thought Mitchell Marsh was the pick of the bowlers today. He bowled very well. Maxwell, 4 overs for 26. As far as the Australian innings was concerned, today Usman Khawaja was the new opener along with David Warner, and in the chase, we saw Usman Khawaja hitting a boundary first up, and then finally David Warner was there with him, and this David Warner was really stroking the ball sweetly and beautifully, and this innings was absolutely running along at pretty good pace, as are the Australian openers. Usman Khawaja also playing and getting that Big Bash League form into the middle here at the Westpac Stadium in Wellington, was also playing some deft strokes there, proper cricketing strokes. David Warner, as you know, is a very good clubber of the ball, and both actually had put on a very good foundation for the first wicket, as they added 122 runs for the first wicket, and then finally the stand was broken by Mitchell Santner, the left-arm spinning all-rounder, as he was the one who went on to pick up 2 wickets. First he gave the breakthrough by first getting Khawaja getting his first 50, his maiden 50 in one-day international cricket there for Usman Khawaja. Usman Khawaja was caught and bowled Santner for 50 of 49 deliveries with 7 fours. A very good knock from Usman Khawaja. So 122 was the partnership, and in the space of 11 runs, Stephen Smith was sent back by Matt Henry into the pavilion for just 2 runs, caught Ronke, and then we saw Bailey enter in, and this was the time that there was they were sailing smoothly at 122 for no loss at one stage. They lost Usman Khawaja 122 for 1, but after that what happened was something that Australia wouldn't like to remember, as suddenly David Warner was the crease. He was watching it all happen at the other end as wickets started falling in a real clatter. As first we saw Stephen Smith being dismissed by Matt Henry for 2, Bailey was clean bowled by Henry for naught, Maxwell attempting a big stroke was clean bowled by Trent bowled for 6 of 10 balls with 1-4. And we saw Matthew Wade out for 2 to the bowling of Santner. And suddenly this Australian innings, which was running along smoothly at 122 for 1, suddenly found themselves really staring down the barrel at 197 for 6 when Wade departed. But the good thing was that they had the all-rounder Mitchell Marsh in the middle, and David Warner himself unfortunately had to go without a century. He was out for 98. LBW bowled Santner 79 balls, 8 fours and 4 sixes. In that 75 runs, in that 6 wickets that were lost for 75 runs by Australia. And so that made it 197 for 6 in the 33rd over. And here New Zealand were definitely in with a chance, and they would have probably sensed that this was the time for them to really get on and go on. But let me tell you, it was John Hastings who was a surprise packet yesterday. He showed his batting skills in the company of Mitchell Marsh by slowly nurdling the innings along, not taking much of a risk, but still there was a long way to go for them with only 4 wickets in hand at that particular juncture. And they still required 85 runs, and it was a tall ask, even though only 4 wickets, but they also had to, it was a very good effort, I thought, from Mitchell Marsh and Hastings, because they not only had to get the innings along, they also had to guard the wickets because they had only 4 wickets in hand at that point of time. But I thought Mitchell Marsh and Hastings have to be commended as they actually went on and shut New Zealand out of the game in this second one-day international by putting up an 86-run partnership, unbroken at that, for the 7th wicket to pave the way for an Australian victory, with Mitchell Marsh showing beautiful skills there, unbeaten 69 of 72 balls with 9 fours and 1 6. But as I said, the surprise packet was John Hastings, who surprised them with an unbeaten 48 of 47 balls with 5 fours and 1 6. John Hastings was pretty quiet at the beginning, not taking any risk, but when it really came to really finishing off the match off, we saw John Hastings really turn it on against the Kiwi bowlers. So that was it. So New Zealand, Australia leveling the 3-match series 1-1. The bowling figures: Mitchell Santner was the best bowler, 10 overs no maiden, 3 for 47. Trent bowled 9.3 overs no maiden, 1 for 66. Matt Henry 2 for 57 of his 10. Williamson 2 overs for 16. Adam Min was costly, 9 overs for 58. Grant Elliott bowled 3 overs for 20. Anderson 3 overs, none for 17. And Mitchell Marsh, for his all-round effort, very rightly was named man of the match. Now, the next match that I'm going to look at is between England and South Africa. It all started with the toss at the second one-day international was won by South Africa, and South Africa decided that they will bat first. But the start was not good at all, as Hashim Amla lost his stumps to Topley. Reece Topley was the best bowler today from the England camp, and Hashim Amla was toppled by Topley for 4 of 8 balls with 1-4. And Quinton de Kock contributing 22 of 33 balls with 4 fours was LBW bowled Stokes. But then we saw some good innings coming, neat little innings coming from du Plessis, who stroked 46 of 48 balls with 4 fours and 1 6. But A.B. de Villiers was the one in the company of Domini who really took the scoring along and put up a nice little partnership which added 97 runs, with A.B. de Villiers stroking the ball. It was good to see that A.B. de Villiers, after taking 3 ducks, finally came into his own, and this is what South Africa wanted, and that came in at the right time when A.B. de Villiers stroked 73 of 91 balls with 4 fours and 1 6. He also had to really build the innings along, which he did beautifully, but Domini made 47 of 66 balls with 2 fours, and really Rosu contributing 11 of as many balls. Behadin was there in the end, not out on 23 of 26 balls, 1-4. Rabada playing today was out for 12. Abbott not out 7. But South Africa, I thought, thanks to de Villiers and Domini and du Plessis, put on 262 on the board for 7 wickets. As far as the England bowling was concerned, Reece Topley was the pick of the bowlers, and he bowled a superb line, I thought. 9 overs, 1 maiden, 50 runs and 4 wickets. really bowled superbly. Got the ball to swing, got the ball to jag in. David Willey also did a fine job of really controlling the South African innings. 7 overs, 2 maidens, none for 33. Ben Stokes was costly, 9 overs, went for 54 with 2 wickets. Adil Rashid bowled a good spell, 1 for 43. Moeen Ali, economical, 10 overs, 1 maiden, none 41. Chris Jordan, 5 overs, no maiden, none for 33. Well, Chris Jordan might not have done a good job with the ball, but look at that catch that he took. What a wonderful catch. First he took the wicket of, first he took the catch of Du Plessis. What a real beauty. I mean, Chris Jordan was such a, we all know in the test he has taken some superlative catches. He's such a wonderful fielder to have in this England team. And what a catch. The ball was actually dropping in over his right shoulder. He kept his eye on the ball and beautifully snaffled that catch by really diving full length. And then A.B. de Villiers was taken beautifully, absolutely at the edge of the fence. And what a catch that was from Jordan. So Jordan, even though he's bowled well, but really shown off with his absolutely superlative fielding. As far as the England innings was concerned, they were chasing 263. Jason Roy, after cracking 3 boundaries in his 14 of 13 balls, was a goner. As Abbott bowled a good line, he kept the ball on the off-stump corridor, and then it went on to hit the middle stump as it jagged in, and Jason Roy was cut into half there. He was gone for 14, which was a big wicket for them, but then Alex Hales and Joe Root started really building the innings, which was a very good sight to see, as they added 97 runs, as Joe Root contributed 38 of 64 balls with 2 fours. Alex Hales really, I thought, played a good innings. I mean, he didn't attempt anything injudicious. He kept his head down and slowly started pushing the innings along, as he got company first from Joe Root, then he got company from Morgan, who clubbed some big sixes in his knock of 29 of 28 balls, 1 4 and 2 sixes. And we saw suddenly that England lost their way. Joe Root was out for 38. Morgan was dismissed by Morkel for 29, who bowled well, and Morkel also dismissed Ben Stokes without scoring, as he rattled his stumps for naught of 6 balls. And then we saw Alex Hales dismiss. Alex Hales was along with Butler, and then they started slowly getting the score along. But when Alex Hales was gone, which was sad, and Alex Hales was named man of the match, but unfortunately for Alex Hales, he missed a wonderful opportunity for a century. Truly deserved it, as he really built these England innings, according to me. And Alex Hales was unfortunately out for 99, as he was caught behind by Quinton de Kock of the bowling habit for 99 of 124 balls with 8 fours, but a beautiful innings from him. But then we saw Jos Buttler and Moeen Ali in the middle. They scored at 202 for 5, and they still needed 61 runs. It was still anybody's game. But one knew that with Jos Buttler at the crease, I mean, England were definitely did not really worry about anything. And Jos Buttler, well, they found the going a bit tough after the 40th over. We saw that Imran Tahir was bowling well. We saw Moeen Morkel bowl a good spell, and suddenly there was a bit of a pressure building on this England innings. But Jos Buttler, who was pretty quiet for his standards, I would say, but suddenly we started Jos Buttler flashing and hitting 23 runs of a single over from Imran Tahir to really change the equation. As Jos Buttler first picked up Imran Tahir and clubbed him for 3 sixes of 3 consecutive balls. The first one was hit absolutely down the ground for a 6. The next one was clattered over the mid-wicket region for a 6. And then one more, which probably Imran Tahir trying not to allow Jos Buttler to free his arms, trying to bowl the ball a bit wide of the stumps there, but Jos Buttler reaching for it and tonking it for another 6 down the ground. As 3 sixes, 23 runs were rattled, and suddenly we saw Moeen Ali get into the similar dose here, as Moeen Ali in the next over, he put Moeen Morkel by lofting him for a 4, and suddenly this equation, which was looking a bit sort of I would say a bit tough there, suddenly everything changed with that over where Imran Tahir was hit for 23 runs by Butler. and finally everything was there. The England would have been a very, very happy bunch as England finished off the match in the 47th over by taking a 2-0 lead as they won by 5 wickets here in the second ODI. Butler was not out on 48 of 28 balls with 4 fours and 3 consecutive sixes of the bowling of Imran Tahir. Moeen Ali was not out on 21 of 15 balls with 3 fours. Match over, and that's it. So England actually winning the second one-day international, and now they have a 2-0 lead in the 5-match series. Alex Hales rightly was named man of the match. As far as the bowling was concerned, Kyle Abbott, 9 overs, 1 minute and 3 for 58. I thought he bowled well. Morkel, I thought, was the best bowler, 8.2 overs, no mean 2 for 31. Rabada, even though he didn't pick up the wicket, I still thought he bowled a very good spell. 9 overs, giving away just 35 runs without a wicket. Imran Tahir bowled well, but those 23 runs really made him a poor bowler. 10 overs, no maiden, none for 66 for him. Bahardine bowling 6 overs for 35. Also, I would say Bahardine also troubled the batsman a bit there. Dumini bowling 4 overs, none for 27. So, dear fans, subscribers, nothing really else to share here on this Cricket Happening show on Saturday. India has made it to the Under-19 World Cup semi-finals by beating Namibia, and I think it's almost this is really bringing this particular Cricket Happenings to an end here. Thanks for watching and thanks for enjoying Cricket Happenings as usual. Your host Ram will be there to entertain you all once again tomorrow. That's on a Sunday on this Cricket Happening show. Until then, it's goodbye for the day. Thank you.